En vertel vir die mense, wie is ons gas vanaand hier so? 'n man wat lekker kan gesels.
Ach man, Dolf, tonight our guest is Etienne, also known as Ezra Botha, and he's a South African artist and character designer, and also the founder of Wonderr Studio. Welcome, Etienne. With a background in web development and digital marketing, he combines creative storytelling with a practical problem-solving approach. After discovering anime in 2020, Dolf, do you even know what anime is? Okay, you're going to find out tonight. So after discovering anime in 2020, he began focusing on character-driven work, creating illustrations and visual identities for people and businesses across South Africa and beyond. Now, Ezra is an author and spoke a few times at the Comic-Con. I've been there myself once. And at the core of his work is a simple goal, telling honest stories and building creative and imaginative ideas that connect. But before we start our interview with him, I want to remind our listeners that they can send us questions or comments for Ezra on the Business Hours WhatsApp line 064 7557 160. So let's take a quick ad break and we'll be right back with Ezra from Wonderr Studio. Welcome back at Rumoer FM's Business Hour, where our guest tonight is heating up a conversation before we even got started. But before we go into the conversation, Ezra, I just want to say thank you also to my technical guy tonight. The technical team is driven by Henke Foster tonight, so thank you, Henke, behind the scenes for doing all our sound tonight. So Ezra, after that introduction, who and what is Ezra and Wonderr Studio?
So, Wonderr Studio, we are an animation and design studio based in South Africa, and we do really cool work. Based off what's Ezra, that's just my nickname I gave myself a few years back, because a lot of English-speaking people have trouble saying Etienne. So that's where that came from.
I have that same challenge, Etienne, when people are trying to pronounce my name in English, so they forget that there's an Irish link to it. But I feel you. So what is the most surreal moment you've experienced in your artistic journey so far?
Oh, what a great question, Anel. So I think it's just the fact that I became an artist, that I had an opportunity to become a professional artist. I back in 2020 when I discovered anime, which is, Japanese animation.
Yes.
So that's what anime is, right?
Thanks, Dolf. I hope you listened.
Now Dolf knows. So when I discovered that, also during, COVID period, it opened up my mind a lot. So, I wanted to become an artist, and that's what I've driven to do, and just the goals has grown bigger ever since.
Yeah, and I can contest to that because I've known you now for a couple of years and got to know you as an artist, and you are always this little artistic, crazy, I can call you Clark Norris in inverted commas because people will understand what we're talking about. Okay, but as an artist, can you walk us through your creative process when you're developing a new piece for Wonderr Studio? What does that look like?
Absolutely, Anel. So it depends on the sort of project that we work on, but let me take animation, for example.
Yes.
So for animation, right, we obviously start with your normal stuff, your information gathering and meetings and sending files to clients to fill in. You have to gather as much information as you possibly can. Right, then it's going over to the script writing. As you guys host a radio as well, how it's important that is. So we do need to have a script in place before we do anything else. And after that, it's doing storyboardings. Animatics, which is a rough lineup of an animation. We do environmental designs, which is very important in the early stages. Rust, tie downs, VFX editings, which is like lighting and shadows, highlights, that sort of stuff. And then the composition is basically putting everything together that you've been working on.
It sounds so intriguing, and I think very few people understand the process. They think, okay, Ezra, just do a painting for me, or do a animation idea or something that you have. and then you just go and do it. It's not like that. It is quite an amount of work that goes into that process, and people don't necessarily respect that process that we work with.
Absolutely.
So your work often blends elements of fantasy and reality, obviously. What inspires this unique blend for you?
Well, we live in a constant state of reality, right? So why not just step outside of the world and explore the unimaginable?
I love it.
And me personally, I've never liked to be confined by society's views, and why my work has and my work, reflects that rebellious side of myself.
It does indeed.
So I always say, right, if you can use my services, it means you are willing to break out of that four-wall box.
And embrace your uniqueness,
exactly.
Right? Yes, we love you for that. It's very interesting, but let's honor our sponsors quickly and continue this intriguing discussion with Ezra right after this break.
Attention.
Welcome back to Rumoer FM's Business Hour with my special guest in studio tonight, Etienne Botha, or as we know him, Ezra from Wonderr Studio. Let me just remind our listeners of our WhatsApp line for any questions or comments for our guest tonight right here in studio. Our WhatsApp line for the Business Hour, 064 7557 160. Ezra, how did Wonderr Studio come to be, and what's the story behind its name?
And now that's a really great question. So, as I mentioned, I started as an artist back in 2021, and obviously a lot of growth has happened since then. I made paintings and digital art and characters and all that sort of stuff. One of the goals I had, about 2 years or so ago, was to be a freelance concept design artist for animational game studios.
Yeah.
The reality is that I found out very soon is it's very difficult to be a freelancer for these studios because they have a team.
Yeah, true.
So my mindset went from instantly, if I can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. Well, great mindset, I must say.
So I just started thinking of, what can I do? Maybe I should start my own studio.
Did COVID influence your decision?
COVID influenced my decision to become an artist.
Yes.
Absolutely. But later on, over the past few years, I've started to learn, what I should focus on and not, and the things that you grow.
So you obviously move with the market and the supply and demand of the market. So if you see a need as an artist, obviously you respond to that in an artistic way, right?
Yeah.
What is the most challenging project you've worked on? And did you have any challenges? How did you overcome those challenges? Tell us about, and please don't tell the listeners about working on my chibi, because that was not your challenging project.
That was a fantastic project, and now
I disagree. It was.
So I think I have to think for a moment, but the biggest challenge I had on a project, I wouldn't say it was the biggest challenging, but it was an interesting challenging. So about 2 years ago, I was tasked to create a company T-shirt design for a client, which if anyone has ever listened to metal or watched metal bands or whatever, you would see that I have these very overly detailed designs on the T-shirts.
Yeah.
So I was tasked to have to create something like that for this company at that time, which was a very fun project. But I've never done art like that before.
Yeah.
So it took me about 2 weeks to just try and understand it. I had to study artists in that space and see what they do and the techniques they use. And when I started to figure that out, I just went into it and I created that. And I had to also figure out how to bring in skeletons and zombies to tie in with the company.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one, but it was very enjoyable. And personally, it was one of my best artworks of that year.
Indeed, and I can remember this T-shirt specifically. So that was such an amazing project. You might mention the company's name while we're on air. You want to?
Yeah, it's It's Wired Web Services.
Yes,
Yes, there we
Wired
go.
Web Services. So, listeners, you can go and Google this and see what their company T-shirts look like. Isra, so by the way, do you have a website where listeners can have a look at some of your artwork, or is that still in process?
Absolutely have a website. I think it's very important in this age and to have
Of
that.
course.
So my website is Wonderr Studio. So it's WonderRStudio.co.za.
So Wonderr with 2 R's studio.co.za. And
Exactly.
obviously the www in front, right? Which not all of us can remember. While many people think animation is just for kids, how do you explain its value to business owners and brands, and why adults should watch animation?
I love this, and this is so close to my heart. So I'm going to answer this in two aspects. So let's break down why it's not just for kids. So let's look at Western animation, right? This is
Yeah.
something that South Africans in generally mostly are common with. So you generally have your three types of genres of animation, in especially in the Western space, which is your cartoons, which is more
Yes.
focused towards children. Like Ed and Eddie, if you
Yeah.
guys can
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. Or,
Yes.
you
Tom
know,
and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry,
Yes.
right? Or what's this latest one the kids are watching, like Paw Patrol or something?
Oh yes, Paw Patrol was quite big a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
And then from that, which is focused towards children, we have, then your family-friendly sort of animations, which the entire family can sit together and watch,
Yeah.
like Ice Age or Tangled or a Disney or the Pixar movie, right?
Right.
And then you have more your adult type of animations, which is Rick and Morty or The Simpsons or
Yeah.
Family Guy, which is more adult joke related, and it's
Yeah.
also generally adult animation in a Western space is very comedic.
Yeah.
But then you have the Japanese space, which is the space that I'm very passionate about, which has multiple breakdowns on genres, right? So they can focus either on children or specifically on towards teen boys, which we call shonen. So it's usually those
Okay.
action-packed, adventure, friends
Alright.
together, fighting a bad guy situation.
Sounds like a general day at the station. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, I see. We should create a story for you.
Rather not.
And then you have the adult side, which is the shinen or the josei
yes.
aspect, which is shinen is adult, is focused towards adult men, and josei is focused towards adult women. So
Yeah.
these are generally focused more around darker, dramatic themes, or romance or daily life situations.
Wow.
Right, the woman working in an office and she goes on to her day. So.
Sure.
So there are aspects of different animations. So no, it's not just for kids. There are different things.
Well, I think Mr. Inka and Mr. Dolph, you guys should start watching anime now. I think it is something that you can really add some value to your life.
Such a fun
Well,
thing.
let's get back to the T-shirts. I understand, and I have personally seen some of your T-shirts designs for companies. How effective is animation or illustrated T-shirt designs for businesses? What is your reasoning behind this for businesses?
Okay. Very interesting. And again, I love this question. So in regards to animation, so there was a global study done by now I can't remember the name of the statistics company.
Yeah.
Either way, so they did a global study to show that about 85% of consumers are more likely to remember your brand using animations.
Yeah.
And your average conversions can increase with up to 20%. Your
What?
ROI can
Yeah.
increase with up to 90%
Sure.
using animations. However, you obviously have to use that with the intent of setting clear goals. Because
Of
if you don't
course.
have clear goals, then it's just going to be a
Yeah.
nice to have.
Yeah.
And in certainly with the T-shirt designs, something I always say to business owners is that think of your T-shirt designs as merchandise.
Yes.
It should be something people want to wear,
Yes.
not something they want to throw in the back of the closet and forget about
Mm.
it. Don't just put your logo on it. Put a really nice design on it, something that is graphic.
Wake up the kid inside of you, right?
Exactly, absolutely, wow. And people are more willing to wear that to their family
Yes.
events and other events, right? Because t-shirts is supposed to be walk-in marketing.
Absolutely. Now, Etienne, just before we take another break, you're a member of BNI. In fact, you're the vice president at the moment for the chapter in Springs called Bounce. And I've seen some of the t-shirts designs that you've done for the members at BNI. So this is a really big part of your business. So if we have listeners with businesses that want t-shirts designs, where can they get hold of you?
They can email me at isra@wonderstudio.co.za, Wonder with 2 R's.
Of
Or they can WhatsApp or call me at 071 865 2249.
Perfect. All right. And we will repeat this information for you at a later stage. But let's take a quick ad break and we'll be right back continuing this conversation with Esra from Wonderr Studio. Welcome back to Rumoer FM's Business Hour with my special guest tonight in studio, Esra from Wonderr Studio. Esra, it's always such a pleasure talking to you, even if it's in business, even if it's on a project. You're always such an interesting person, and you have such a great mind on how to look at a project from different angles. So I want to talk about your purpose and your passion. What are some of your biggest artistic influences and how do they manifest in your work?
Anal. So everything goes back to when I started watching anime again back in 2020. I think most of Africans, well, especially my generation, a little bit older, grew up watching Dragon Ball Z on SABC2, right, at 5 p.m.
Yes.
every day, right? So absolutely loved that as a kid, and that's the reason why I got back into anime, is because I saw that as an adult, years later, and for me, Akira Toriyama, which is the creator, the mangaka of Dragon Ball Z, was for me the biggest influence in entering this anime space. And obviously, there are many other artists that I do value, and producers like Hayao Miyazaki from Studio Ghibli, which is brilliant producer. But Akira Toriyama really just hits home for me.
Sure. Now, the names you mention, I must confess, is absolute Chinese to me and Korean to me. So I do apologize. It is definitely not in my generation. I think I grew up with the Simpsons maybe. And
Yeah.
so that gives away our age, Mr. Forster, doesn't it? But yeah, it is true that you have to move with the generations and with the seasons. And I always believe you were made for a time like this. So the influence that you have as an artist is made for this generation of businesses, the way businesses think, the way clients see you, the way projects come your way. So I salute you for that, even though I can't even pronounce those names. What is the most important thing, though, you've learned from your artistic mentors? Sorry.
Keeping yourself humble, especially from Akira Toriyama. He never considered himself being a really good artist, although he was the only or the first essentially artist that had anime being global. And but other than that, I didn't have any close artistic mentors myself. Most of them were business owners, especially from BNI and close friends who are like yourself. So I found a lot of value from that, and so the creative industry I had to really learn myself on my own way. But from a business perspective, I could really rely on a few people.
Yeah.
And just an honorable mention, my good friend Andre really helps me a lot to learn also from the film industry's point of view on quite a few things as well.
Amazing. I think you've mentioned something that lies very close to my heart, the relationships that we build. In business, we call it somewhere a meeting with somebody. I'm having a meeting here and I'm having a meeting there. But the value of investing an hour of your time into another like-minded business owner can help you develop your ideas, shape your ideas, and just give you new direction. Am I right?
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Now, you started the process for the very first anime film studio in South Africa. Super excited about that. But what does it mean to you to produce animation in South Africa?
Yeah, so it's really part of my daily life, and for me, producing animation in South Africa is seeing the entertainment space grow within our country.
Yeah.
You know, typically speaking, art isn't really as valued in South Africa as it could be, which is a shame. But I really wanted to see especially the 2D space of animation grow in South Africa, and I want to be part of that growth and see new generations have an easier time to get into that space than what I have had to deal with.
Wow. And I think access also to information has become so much easier. Something that the listeners don't know and that we haven't mentioned in our interview yet is, Etienne, that you have written a book. You're an accomplished author. What is your book called?
Yeah, so I've read this book in 2024.
Yeah.
And it's called How to Draw a Character in 8 Weeks. So I created this specifically for beginner artists that has trouble finding courses that will fit them. It was still at a stage where I considered myself a beginner, so I think it was really fitting to do so.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So where can listeners get hold of that book?
It is available on TikTok. On Takealot.
We are currently live on TikTok just for the sake of interest. We're having a lot of fun. If you want to see what Etienne does in the studio and what happens behind the scenes, do log into your TikTok account. What is TikTok for you?
Which is also Wonderr Studio.
Wonderr Studio. So if you're a TikTok user and you want to phone us in the studio, I'll just see if this is for you, Etienne. Let's take a quick ad break and we'll be right back.
Awesome.
Welcome back to Rumoer FM's Business Hour with Esra from Wonderr Studio. Just before the break, Esra, you told us about your exciting new project. What can you tell us about the film so far, and how are you approaching the process of producing it?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to say that we are working on the first Mzansi anime style film. Currently I'm working on the trailer as we speak, and so hopefully I can release it in about March or so, and then target and see if we can get investors, sponsors and the public's support for it.
If somebody wanted to get involved in sponsoring of the film, where can they find information? Where can they contact you? What can they do to get involved?
Right now, they can visit my website, wonderstudio.co.za/support, which gives information about the project. We are still working on setting up everything. Like I said, we are working on a trailer. We can't really approach people if we don't have something we can viably show to them. Okay. But yeah, if I may say a bit about what the animation is going to be about,
please do.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so the name of the animated movie would be called The Lost Painting, and it's a interesting genre that I chose. I chose to go for a tragic romance drama instead of the typical action-based animations that we generally see. So it's about two married couples, Roy and Emily Fenley, who has built a quiet, beautiful life together in Cape Town. So Emily is a criminal law attorney, where Roy is a contemporary artist. And so during this blissful time, unfortunately, Emily receives an unexpected diagnosis that changes their life upside down, and later on they have to learn how to deal with despair and figure out how to move forward in life.
Sure, that sounds quite interesting. And even in anime, I think it would be such a beautiful platform to address what can be a general issue or general situation or something that people can relate to. And I'm very excited to see this project going forward. How do you see Wonderr Studio evolving within the next few years?
Well, my ultimate vision is to continue creating animated movies and series. So I really want to grow in that scope and especially become a hub for talent. We have so many amazing artists in South Africa, and a lot of new generation artists that is focusing on 2D and anime styled work. So I want to be able to be that platform for them.
I think it's also a value that we try and install in businesses at the moment is how much of your skills are you transferring to a new generation. There's no use we keep our skills and our talents to ourselves. You have to share it, and I salute you for that once again. Art and animation obviously can create a lot of misconceptions about the industry. What are some of the most common misconceptions that you have experienced?
So they have this idea that animation or t-shirt designs or mascots or whatever is really, really expensive.
Yeah.
To some extent, yes, depending on what you're doing, but we at Wonderr Studio offer a variety of services and options for our clients, whether you're a small business or a large business. So there is something for everyone. And one of the other misconceptions we've really lately had regarding especially generative AI, which is in big discussion on regards to it can't do what we do,
Yeah.
which I laugh at that because
Yeah.
try to edit an AI image or thing with AI without using a designer, you're gonna have a tough time.
And we've tested this a little, just earlier before the show started. We tested AI a little. So that was going to be my next question. How do you feel about the influence generative AI has in your industry?
It's a very 50-50 view for me on that personally. I don't think AI or generative AI specifically should be involved in the creative or entertainment sectors.
Yeah.
Right? That should be artists and creators. I really don't want to listen to music created by a robot.
Yeah.
That's not, no. Same with animations or artwork, and so I just don't think it fits in that space. I do see, however, how it might become a really good tool for artists to use in the future to streamline their work or so. But right now, as it's currently being created, these models are developed in a way to quote-unquote replace artists, right, in a sense. These AI companies are more focused on how to replace the human labor than assisting it. And we see it in various industries, not just the creative industry. So that's just my view on it.
Sure. What is the most meaningful piece you've created? And why would it be significant to you?
So I think everyone would expect me to say, oh, it's like a character or digital type artwork or something I created. Actually, no.
I think I know where you're going with this.
So there was about 2 years or so, 2 years ago, 2024, I created a painting called I Wish I Wasn't Me, which is very, deep. Very deep. The title itself is very deep. During that time, artist called Eric Num came out with the song I Wish I Wasn't Me. It was also during exactly that time where I really wasn't myself. It was at my lowest end possibly. It felt like I couldn't get anything right, business-wise, personal life, all that sort of stuff. So, I just created this painting, and it's been something that's very personal for me. But now I think it's time for it to move on to a new owner and a new owner to appreciate it.
Is it true that art has a season where that piece meant something beautiful to you during that period of your life, or it became something significant? Now that you've moved on from that into a new season in your life, do you think art has a season where you can change maybe or value things differently?
I think so. In the end of the day, art is the rawest emotion of an artist. It shows our inner thinking and inner ambitions of who we are and what we feel in that moment. And I think it just as humans, it just naturally makes sense to move on with life. And although that painting meant a lot during that time, just have to move on with it. And that's why artists do sell their work, and eventually, they find a new owner, owner that respects the artwork and appreciates it.
Unprepared question, Etienne. Do you have a platform where you sell your art? Is it on your website, or do you only do customized art?
So I do customized art primarily. When it comes to paintings, obviously I do focus mostly on the commercial aspects of the art, animations, t-shirts, and that sort of stuff from Wonderr Studio. But in regards to the paintings and so I've done in the past, they are available on my website, other website, which is currently being redesigned and redone.
Perfect. We surely have an interesting time with Ezra tonight, and I'm so delighted to have him in studio. But before I'm having a little bit of mischievous fun with him as usual, let's listen to what our advertisers has got to say. Welcome back to Rumoer FM with my guest live in studio. Now, Ezra, I always have a little bit of fun with my guests, so here comes a few shots fired questions. What is the most ridiculous thing you've ever created, and did you sell it?
Oh my days. Okay, this goes back to my early painting days. I had this idea of, well, actually no, my nose bled in a bathtub. Okay, this is how the story starts. And I got inspired from that, and I created a painting with a guy with fungus growing out, and I used my own blood to add into the painting. So no, I've not sold that one.
I wonder why. I
Me
actually
too.
know about this painting, and it has created such a vibe around. Ezra's now a demon hunter and a zombie walker and something like that. So yeah, it was a ridiculous thing, but that was inspired by a moment that happened. All right. If your art had a soundtrack, what would it be and why?
Oh my days, this is so difficult. You know what? Let's say this though. I'm going to say it's going to be Wonderr by The Rose, which is also why Wonderr Studio came from. So
I love it. What is the weirdest thing that inspired you? And did you actually use it in a piece? Are we going back to the nosebleed, or is there something else that you can share with our listeners?
yeah, pretty much the nosebleed tops it all, eh? So
Okay, so let's leave it at that. Do you have a secret alter ego? And if so, what is its name and its superpower? And you can't call it Tutankhamun.
damn it. Secret alter ego. That is a very hard one. I'm not actually too sure, to be honest. I think my alter ego speaks openly. So
We have split personalities and we use it.
exactly. I don't really think I hide my split personalities.
Well, I've had my fun with you. Thank you for joining me in studio tonight. But before we go, how can we as Rumoer FM help you? Who do you want to contact you?
Absolutely love that. Thank you. So I'm really looking for business owners that is willing to do something different with their marketing this year. You know, if you are looking for animated ads to connect with your consumers in a more meaningful and story-driven way, I definitely think we'll work well together. If you are a company that's looking at doing something a bit different with your t-shirt designs this year as well, I think we'll do really a lot of great work together.
And listeners, if you want different, Ezra is your guy to go to. So do visit his website. Any last remarks before you give us your contact details?
I think that you should just remember that animation has a lot of value and don't take it for granted. I think because we've grown up in South Africa where it's not something that is openly available for all of us and seen with everyone, that you sometimes undervalue it. But consider being open-minded and trying out new things.
Perfect.